Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Kamal. Welcome to the episode of the Social Talk. So thank you for first agreeing to be a part of our show and encouraging us students to organize this kind of social engagement shows. So before we dabble into the main topic of today's episode, which is drug and alcohol abuse, would you mind if we start a bit small talk before we're touching on the main topic? Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm well aware that you are an experienced addiction therapist, certified addiction therapist in Pengasih Malaysia. May I know a little bit more about your experience and role in Pengasih?
Okay, good afternoon. I've been with Pengasih for close to 15 years, and I've been holding various posts in Pengasih since I joined. One of which was being a medical officer in charge of medical routines and medication, distributing of medication to the residents, and making sure their well-being. And then I've been a marketing officer, which I am until now at present, as well as a personal assistant to the president, and also a certified addictions therapist to the residents.
Okay.
Till present, that's it.
Yeah. So from what I found in the internet, Pengasih Malaysia is a non-profitable, community-based organization that is also licensed by the National Anti-Drugs Agency in Malaysia to provide treatment, rehab for addiction disorders. May I know about more about Pengasih Malaysia's services that it provides?
We also do outreach. That means we go out and we talk to the substance abusers on the streets. We also provide food for them at least once a week. You know, we being in that condition. We also do. We also go to schools, universities for talks. When they invite us, we talk about addiction and drug substance abuse, what it's about, and prevention on that aspect of it. And whichever other government services that require our expertise. But basically, we focus on our rehabilitation center. We are not so much on prevention. We are more on rehabilitation.
Okay. Right. Okay, thank you so much for your explanation, sir. So now we can move on to our main discussion, which is substance abuse, drug and alcohol abuse. So first of all, we do know that the current pandemic has been taken a very negative toll on the communities and negatively impacting many individuals. So may I know, is there been an increase in substance addiction cases that has been reported in Pengasih Malaysia, especially like among the younger generations after the pandemic started?
Well, after we shut down our facility, we didn't have any intake after once the pandemic broke up.
Yeah.
Understand? So it's very difficult for us to judge or to see what is the increase. Of course, there has been an increase. If you ask me based on my opinion and based on the world, as say from what feedback I get, from what I see, there's been an increase in substance abuse because of the stress and staying at home without any job, because the pandemic has caused unemployment. And due to this, people have taken the easy way out. That means by taking substance or alcohol even, especially in America, the rate of alcoholism has gone up. To what's the word I'm using? To to placate themselves or to medicate their feelings of inadequacy and problems or helplessness. So per se, there has been an increase of substance abuse as well as alcohol throughout the world.
Yeah, so I can say it's because of they're using substance like drugs and alcohol as like a coping mechanism to like hold out and just like distract themselves, is it?
Yeah, that's the word. Distract would be to forget for the time being, temporarily. For the time being, temporarily, your problems are forgotten. But it appears the next day, or when you stop, the effect of the substance or alcohol has disappeared, the problem still persists. Temporary relief, yes, that's it,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. So prior to this pandemic, when Pengasih Malaysia and the facilities were all fully in operation, what are the most common types of like addiction cases? Like the example, like the people who come in, people who are addicted to substances, what kind of group are they? Are they like in the younger generation, or in the more like in the working age group, or is it like a mixture of them?
Addiction per se has no barriers: race, religion, age, sex. Everyone is affected. True, you could say, but over the period of time, as I've seen with my years working in Pengasih, the intake age group has dropped. They have dropped now from the 30s, from the early 30s or late 40s. It has gradually dropped to the 20s, and now it's in the teens, which shows that teenagers are being easily influenced and have started taking this substance. So if you see the statistics that we have, the age groups are between young adults, 18, 17, 18 to 24, 25, 26. This is the group. We also have people who are working or employed who also take. That's quite a few. But the majority are students, young teenagers and young adults.
Means actually it's actually very sad to think that youngsters are so like easily accessible, like drugs and alcohol is so like easily accessible to this young group of people. Do you have any like opinions on that?
Well, being someone who did go through the experience myself, when I went to India to study at the age of 18, 17, after Form 5, I went to India to study. And we are talking about 1970. We're talking about the 1970s, And that time, substance abuse, like marijuana and hashish and all, they were not, it was just an in thing, it was just coming in. And I was easily influenced because my friends were taking, I before going to India, I never smoked or drank cigarette. I never smoked cigarettes or drank alcohol. I was brought up, my family was quite strict. But after going to India and being exposed to my peers, especially you are at an age where you're susceptible to other people's ideas and coercions, and you want to belong. You're looking for an identity, especially teenagers when they are young, they're looking for identity. They're no more children and they're not adults yet. They're in between. So they're looking for themselves. Who are they actually? What do I do? Where do I belong? And by taking this substance, or we want to be outstanding, in the sense that something different from the others. Hey, look, man, I'm smoking cigarette. That kind of thing compared to the normal person. You're doing something that society looks down on, that aspect. That's what I felt. So I was influenced. I took drugs. I did. I tried marijuana. So the same thing, if I bring it back to myself now, teenagers are at an age where they're very susceptible to person suggestions, influences. Basically, if they see their friends, they are more closer to their friends than to their parents.
Correct.
They rather tell their friends certain things. So if the friend were to come and tell me, hey, look, this is nice. You try it, man. You will forget all your problems. It's good, just for fun. Of course, I'll believe him. Of course, I'll take or believe her. You see, but that's the drawback. That's the weak spot. That is why the drug pushers or the drug suppliers have found that it's easier to deal with teenagers, Easier to deal with teenagers. What does a teenager want now? What are the two things that a teenager would like now? For a male, it's a motorbike, it's transport and handphone, right? For a female, it's like cash in hand to buy cosmetics and clothes and handphone. You notice that within these two, there's a common factor is the handphone. New handphone costs a few thousand. What if you can afford to have an handphone? All you have to do is just go and give your friends all these sweets. These nice sweets, you put it as sweets, but it's actually pills which they're pushing. So can you see the scenario? They get the students themselves to go and supply within the college or institution, right? So
yeah, so that means you're saying that those drug dealers and the suppliers for the drug, they actually use youngsters' needs and like wants. They make use of that to make them
entice them.
Yeah, entice them. Yeah, and make them distribute the drugs among them.
Can you see the scenario? Hey,
yeah, I can see.
You want a new handphone? You just go and sell all this. You just go and give it to your friends. I'll give you a new handphone, 2,000. I'll give you 5,000. Money is the root. You see here. So
yeah. So yeah, like this means it's also like difficult to track these dealers down because they're not directly involved in distributing all that. So yeah.
True.
And it's like widespread, it's just like a connection from this person to this person to this person.
Yes, they're not stationed at one place where they're, where we go and collect it. Like those days, yes, there was one place where the dealer was, and we had to go and see him there, and then buy the drugs, buy the substance, and come. But now you can order online. Can you imagine that? You can order online. They will get Grab, or they will get some of this courier service to come and put it in your post box. Of course, the courier service don't know. It's a package, right? You have ordered online. I mean, we cannot do anything if that's going to be the case. It's going to check, to that extent. They are much more advanced. The suppliers are much more advanced than other companies, you see. So
yeah, they figured out a much more smarter way to distribute the drugs without being get caught. Yeah. So the next question is, from what we observe and what we know, normally when someone have alcohol addiction and they consume alcohol often, we can actually see the obvious symptoms. Like, sometimes their speech is slurring, you can smell alcohol from them. And obviously when you take alcohol, you will get drunk, and, very obvious symptoms when someone is drunk and is what is that called? He gets drunk quite often. Yeah. But for drugs in the other side, most of them you can't really smell it. You can't really it doesn't really have an obvious significance to for us to say, oh, this is drugs, until we taste it or we actually identify it. So the symptoms also, it doesn't come exactly immediately, and sometimes even family members or someone close to you, even they don't recognize it until it becomes a very serious issue. So do you think there's any specific signs and symptoms we should pay attention to our loved ones, to say, oh, maybe they can be having a drug addiction or something like that?
All right. One of the things is when their routine is erratic. One of the things you can notice, the main thing to me, I would say, it'll be erratic. Going out at odd hours, you're not congruent at times. Your actions are not congruent. They don't go according to steps. You do this, say in case you want to go to, say what, you went to the bathroom, come back into your room, then go back again into the bathroom. That kind of thing, you see, where your thoughts are not continuous. Even in your speech, when you talk to them, we notice that they get irritated very fast. These are all signs, you see, because of course, when they take the drugs, initially when they take it, they'll be fine. But when the effects of the drugs start wearing out, and when they don't have the drugs, then they become very irritated. Small things disturb them. Their senses are very tuned, very highly tuned and raw. I would call it raw. It means very sensitive. So loud noise, people talking and being told what to do, that is it. And then they become, when you tell them do their work, clean your room, like your mom says, like the mother says, clean your room, wash your clothes, they become irritated, shout, easily get angry. These are the signs. And then when they want to sleep erratically, sleep at odd hours, they stay awake throughout the night and sleep in the morning, the whole day, so you have to compare. You have to compare. Only the parents will know and close friends. You can know, your friend, the routine, the way they talk, what are their habits, how they behave, and then you can notice that there'll be a subtle change. They're becoming more active. The eyes are bigger. Another thing you can closely see is their pupils, their eyes. They become dilated. That means they're not in focus, but they become large. Of course, you cannot take your friend and say, hey, look, let me see your eyes. You can see that they become like distant. The eyes are big, dilated. So they're distant. They cannot focus. They're thinking about far away, So these are the signs, I would say. You have to notice the small things, how they behave erratic. Are they taking too long in the bathroom? Are they taking too long to comb their hair? Or, eat food, how long it take? Sometimes they keep on poking the food, they're not eating. It's another thing. And then the more time they're on their social media, phone, these are all the plus points. I would definitely go and see my friend. I would rather spend time with them.
Yeah. So I think, right, like you said, a parent, when the child is in the teenage period, the parent has to be more of a friend than a strict parent. I think I can really relate to this because I'm a youngster as well. So of course, I've seen a lot of friends where they get really emotional when you raise their voice, or like you, instead of explaining why it's good, what is bad, instead of doing that, some parents will decide to like restrict them, or cannot means cannot, something like that. So instead of communicating and asking the parents, they will result to, communicating with your friends instead. So if they get a good friend, then it's good lah. But if they ended up in a wrong circle of friends, then that's where things will start to get wrong. So I think
and then you won't do it. You won't do it in front of your parents. You'll hide and do.
Yeah.
You're still going to do it. You're still going to do it, but you will hide and do, which is worse.
Yeah.
Also, another thing the parents should explain. I agree with that. Like when my mom told me don't play in the rain, when I asked her why, and she couldn't explain, she said because I said so. She told me like that.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, so those days we had to listen. Because I said so, don't play, don't ask me. But now I know, if they had explained to me, because the air is full of smog and dust and all, so when the rain falls, it could convert to acid. It could become acidic. The water, the raindrops could be acidic, which is detrimental to us when the acid falls on us, on the head. If it was explained that way, then good. And some people don't think that the child cannot, that the child will be able to understand, but that's wrong.
Yep.
From the ages of 2 to 6, the child can understand, starting from the age of 2 itself. I understand. I know where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from. I agree.
That small details in every communication, it has to be a two-way thing between the parent and the child. So it doesn't have to be a very strict conversation. Very simple things like how was your day, and what have you done, like what you did today in school, like very simple thing once in a while, just to let us know that we have been acknowledged and we are we have been loved, something like that.
Acknowledge. That's a word. Acknowledge. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that is the most important.
Exactly. True. I agree. Like, have you got enough clothes? What is your latest? You would like something to buy something new, or what? And the mom can talk to the daughter, like, you're starting to use makeup, or do you want to use makeup? Those kind of issues. The father can get back to the son. True. I agree.
Yeah. As much as exposure is important for the youngsters, because if you restrict them, they're going to become curious. If you restrict them and don't give them any explanation, they're like, I just want to know what is it. And that doesn't always go well.
A lot of your friends are going through the internet, and the internet is actually it can be good and it can be bad.
Yeah,
No?
correct. Okay.
Nice.
So the next question is, of course, in this past many years, you have seen many cases, and what is the hardest or the trickiest aspect of treating someone with addiction disorder?
Okay, that's a good question, because these 5 fingers are not the same.
Correct.
Correct. Have you seen these 5 fingers? They're not the same, right? Same with human beings. Each human being is an individual. So we have to find out what is the issue, what is the main issue about why the person has taken substance. Is it because of influence of friends? Like I said, if the house environment is conducive, you wouldn't want to go and do all these things, right? If everything being at home with your parents, it's nice, your friend, you wouldn't want to deviate. Your parents will tell you, hey, drugs are dangerous, don't take it. Or you hear from your friends, don't smoke. Okay, it's only when the environment is not conducive that you want to go and do all these negative things, like indirectly trying to get back to your parents, indirectly, like you're telling me not to do this, but I will do it. I'm challenging the authority, so that kind of thing. So we have to find out what is the underlying factors. Maybe they were brought up too strict, too strict. They were brought up, and then they rebelled. They saw their friends, or there was favoritism among the children. They were neglected. Could be, right? And then
Can.
things were given. Yes. So those are other factors also. And then fight, or they were beaten by their parents, father and mother when they were young, that kind of thing. So we find that basically it's peer influence, peers. They're sometimes broken families. Husband is married again, mother is married again, 2 wives, divorced. So it is children that suffer. So these are the cases. But majority is curiosity. They went and found out by themselves. That is the in thing that's happening now. So it's like, meeting your friend and, hey, come on, you haven't tried this. Why haven't you tried? You mean all along you haven't tried? Are you alive or what? That kind of thing. Try now. How can you be alive? It's like if you don't have the latest model of the handphone with 5G, how can you don't exist, or if you tell your friend, I don't have a handphone, man. Imagine the shock your friend will say. Just imagine, correct or not? Do you agree? Do you agree with me? Have you seen, even you automatically, hey, what? You don't have a handphone.
Correct.
Something that you need to have. So this is the things that, and then you compare. You start comparing. You want, your friends are having, you want, but you can't get it. You don't have enough money. You ask your parents, they won't give. That kind of thing. Those conflicts. So then you get angry. You go and tell your friend, hey, my father not giving me. I want to get this one. Your friend, hey, why are you angry like this? Come on, try this one. I give you this. You try this. It's a sweet. You take and you'll be okay. And that's it. So you automatically you try because your friend is giving you. And then once you're hooked, first, that's why we have a saying, first you take the drug, and then the drug takes you.
Yeah.
The danger is when the drug takes you.
Very true.
Very addictive. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
it. So I cannot. Okay. Next.
Yeah. So the last question for the first segment is, of course, like you say, first you take the drug and the drug takes you and it starts controlling you. And when you treat patients and then they're like, okay, after a certain point, they will be sent back home, is it? After like
yes.
Yeah. So for after that, what will happen if they get a relapse, like an addiction relapse again?
Okay. First of all, you have to understand that addiction is a medical problem. It is now classified by World Health Organization as a medical problem. Addiction, especially substance abuse, is a medical problem. All right. It can be treated, but it cannot be cured. That's that word. It cannot be cured because it's bio, psycho, social. These are the 3 factors that have to be considered. Biological, yes. You got fever, you take Panadol. Okay. all right, you're cured, all right. You got COVID, you take vaccine, you're okay. It's biological. But they're doing bio, psycho, and social. Psychological and social aspect of it is cannot. You need therapy. You need to go and see a psychiatrist, psychologist. And then for social issues, also the same. You need to be a psychologist. You need to see a psychologist. The doctor can only prescribe medication, but that doesn't solve the problem. What if you are scared to go out? You're shy to go out. I can give you medication, but you have to take a step to go out. You have to overcome your fears. That's why you see a psychologist and psychiatrist to overcome your fears, to encourage yourself to go out so that you can see this, you can face the world. So that is the difference. So we know there's a possibility that they will relapse. They will relapse means they will try again. You know, me, when my parents told me not to do, like the bicycle, riding a bicycle, right? When you start learning how to ride a bicycle, how many times do you fall down?
Many times.
Now quite a number of times, right? Yeah. And then you finally get it. Same. Recovery is like riding a bicycle. You're bound to fall. There's some of them. Show me one person who sat on a bicycle and could straight away ride the bicycle. Impossible, right? Was there? Is there such a? No. You had to get your balance. At least you have to fall one or twice, right? The recovery is like that because it's something new. You have gone into addiction and now you want to get out of it. So that getting out of it is also another experience you need to go through, because the attraction of going back into addiction is too great. Because out there, there's nothing. Out there, it's the same world. Out there, it's all the same friends, and it's so dull out there. You know what I'm saying? There's no attraction. But here, it's like you can create your own feelings. You know, by when you take this substance, you create your own feelings of good. Even if you're feeling down, but when you take, you feel nice. So
correct.
That is another process, and we don't expect them to go through it straight away. We keep them here for 6 months. Right. So we keep them for 6 months. It's already quite a long period. But at 6 months, they can go back to their university. They can continue their studies, you know. And then we hope the parents will inform us if there's any problem that they have or notice in their behavior. Another thing that we do in our program is we call the parents also. We have parent education. We bring the parents in front of the counselor, and then the resident, we call them resident, those undergoing treatment. So in front of the counselor, the resident and the parents have to sit and talk out their issues. That's when we find out what's the problem, what's the underlying factor that causes the child to, what made the child take substance in the first place. So parents have another very important role to play. I think about 50% also, yes. So once we have settled both of these, we know where each and everyone stands, and then we tell them, keep in touch with us. That's the most that we can do. Now, it is up to the parents to monitor the child's progress and give information if they see anything wrong or unusual. So we always advise them, don't think that you're sending your child to the hospital for treatment, and then once they take medication, they're okay. This is biopsychosocial. It takes time to change.
Yeah, I can see why, because it's not just like a biological thing, like you said. Like when it comes to addiction, it's a very complex thing with many factors, from biological factors, social factors, and mental factors also. So I can see how. Continue.
An example is falling in love. Let's say, seriously, now, is it physical? Not so much physical, it's emotional and psychological, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But there are some people are addicted. I mean, you feel nice. It's like good. So it's something if you have to deal with that.
Thank you so much. It was actually a very great conversation. So now we will move on to the second segment, which is a scenario. And we will be discussing on that. I will end the recording and start a new recording. So we have two different segments.
Sure. Okay.